People tell you to trust family with the ones you love most. But what happens when the people you trust are the very ones destroying her behind your back? My name is Nora Castillo. I'm 31, a dental hygienist in Tampa, and the only person in my family who actually gives a damn about my grandmother. Her name is Gloria. She's 74, almost completely deaf since a botched surgery 3 years ago, and she lives alone in the house she built with my grandfather before he passed. She can read lips if you face her directly and speak slowly. She can write notes. She can text with shaky fingers. But she can't hear a door creak open at midnight. She can't hear footsteps in her hallway. And she definitely can't hear what people say about her when they think she's not looking. 6 months ago, my Uncle Ray convinced the rest of the family that Grandma Gloria needed a live-in caregiver. He said he'd handle everything. Found someone through a friend of a friend. A woman named Janelle, mid-40s. Nice smile, firm handshake. She moved into the guest bedroom on a Monday. By Thursday, something already felt off. I visited that weekend and Grandma Gloria hugged me tighter than usual. When I pulled back, her eyes were wet. I asked what was wrong. She shook her head and looked toward the kitchen where Janelle was heating soup. I asked again. She picked up her notepad and wrote 2 words, then scratched them out before I could read them. She smiled and patted my hand like nothing happened. I should have pushed harder. I didn't. That's something I'll carry for a long time. Over the next few weeks, I noticed small things. Grandma Gloria, who once kept her home spotless, now had dishes piling in the sink. Her favorite African violet on the windowsill was dead. She'd lost weight. Not a lot enough, but enough that her rings spun loosely on her fingers. When I mentioned it to Uncle Ray, he laughed. She's 74, Nora. Old people lose weight. Stop being dramatic, I called Janelle directly. She was sweet on the phone. Oh, Gloria's doing wonderful. We went for a walk yesterday. She ate a full lunch. I'm keeping a close eye on her. Everything checked out on paper. But my gut wouldn't shut up. Then one Sunday, I showed up unannounced. I usually came on Saturdays, and Janelle knew that. This time, I came a day late. When I walked in, Grandma Gloria was sitting in her recliner in the living room, still in her nightgown at 2 in the afternoon. No bra. Hair uncombed. A glass of water on the end table, but it was empty and bone dry, like it had been sitting there since the day before. The TV was on, volume at 0 obviously, playing some infomercials she couldn't hear or care about. But here's what stopped me cold. The thermostat read 61 degrees. In January, in a house with a woman who gets cold in July. Janelle came rushing down the stairs a minute later. Oh, I didn't hear you come in. She's been resting, didn't want breakfast. I looked at my grandmother. She was staring at me with an expression I'd never seen before. Not sad, not angry, terrified. Like she wanted to scream but didn't know how to make me understand. I smiled and squeezed her hand and told her I'd be right back. Then I walked to the bathroom, locked the door, and sat on the edge of the tub with my heart hammering so loud I could feel it in my teeth. That night I ordered 4 wireless cameras online. Tiny ones, the kind that look like USB chargers. They arrived 2 days later. The following Saturday during my regular visit, I planted them while Janelle was in the backyard on the phone. 1 in the living room behind a picture frame. 1 in the kitchen angled at the stove and table. 1 in the hallway between Grandma's bedroom and the bathroom. And 1 in Grandma's bedroom itself, tucked inside a decorative basket on the top shelf. I paired them all to an app on my phone. Motion activated. Night vision. Cloud backup. I told no one. Not Uncle Ray. Not my mom. Not my boyfriend. No one. Because I didn't know who to trust anymore, and I wasn't about to tip off the wrong person. The first night was quiet. Janelle heated a frozen meal, brought it to Grandma Gloria on a tray, helped her to bed around 9. Normal. I almost felt guilty. Almost deleted the app. But something told me to wait. Day 2. Nothing unusual until 11 at night. The hallway camera triggered. Janelle walked past Grandma's room toward the kitchen. Opened the fridge. Took out a Tupperware container. The one I recognized because I'd made Grandma a batch of arroz con pollo the weekend before. Enough to last her a week. Janelle dumped the entire container into a trash bag, tied it up, and carried it to the garage. Then she made herself a sandwich, ate it standing at the counter, scrolled her phone for 20 minutes, and went to bed. My grandmother's food. Gone. Just like that. Day 3. The bedroom camera caught Janelle entering at 7 in the morning. She shook Grandma Gloria's shoulder hard. Not gently, hard. Grandma startled awake, confused, blinking. Janelle held up a whiteboard she'd been using to communicate. It said, "Get up. Bathroom." Now, Grandma reached for her glasses. Janelle snatched them off the nightstand and held them above her head. Grandma reached. Janelle stepped back. Grandma reached again, confused, scared. Janelle was smiling. Not a cruel grin. Worse. An amused one. Like a kid pulling wings off a butterfly. She finally handed the glasses over after maybe 30 seconds and walked out. 30 seconds doesn't sound like much. Watch a frightened 74-year-old woman reaching blindly for the one thing that lets her read lips, and it feels like 30 minutes. I replayed that clip 4 times. Each time my hands shook harder. Day 5 was when I stopped sleeping. The kitchen camera. 8:47 p.m. Janelle on the phone. Speakerphone. Volume up because why would it matter? The old woman can't hear anything. And the voice on the other end was Uncle Ray's. Their conversation went like this. Janelle said she needed more money. The amount he was paying her wasn't worth what she was dealing with. Uncle Ray told her to relax. He said the house was worth $450, maybe more with the lot. Once Gloria was moved to a facility, he could sell it under power of attorney. Janelle asked when. He said soon. Said the more confused and helpless Gloria seemed, the easier it would be to get the family to agree that she couldn't live alone. That a facility was the only option. And once she was in a facility, nobody would question selling the house. Janelle laughed and said, well, she's definitely not thriving. Uncle Ray said good. Keep it that way. I sat in my car in my apartment parking lot and cried until my chest hurt. Then I stopped crying and started documenting. I created a shared drive. Password protected. I labeled every clip by date, time, and category. Neglect. Verbal intimidation. Financial exploitation. Conspiracy. I cross-referenced timestamps with my own visit logs. Every time I'd notice something off, there was a matching clip. The weight loss wasn't aging. Janelle was throwing away food and feeding Grandma, Gloria the bare minimum. Canned soup, crackers. Sometimes nothing until dinner. The dead plant wasn't neglect. Janelle had moved it away from the window on purpose, and when I thought about it, I realized that plant was Grandma's daily routine. She watered it every morning. Taking it away was taking away her sense of purpose. The cold thermostat wasn't an accident. Janelle kept it low to make Grandma uncomfortable, lethargic, less likely to move around or resist. It was systematic. It was calculated. And my uncle was behind it. I wanted to drive over there at midnight and drag Janelle out by her collar. I wanted to call the cops right then. But I knew if I moved too early, Ray would spin it. He was charming. The family loved him. He'd coached Little League. He brought wine to Thanksgiving. He called himself Gloria's devoted son, and everyone believed it because he showed up, he signed the checks, he handled the paperwork. I needed more. I needed the case to be airtight. So, I waited. And every night I watched, and every night it got worse. Day 8. The hallway camera. 2 in the morning. Janelle walked into Grandma's room with her phone flashlight on. Shined it directly in Grandma's face. Grandma couldn't hear her come in, so she woke up to a blinding light 6 inches from her eyes. She flinched so hard she nearly fell out of bed. Janelle grabbed her arm and yanked her back, then disappeared. No words. No reason. Just cruelty for the sake of cruelty. And since Grandma couldn't hear the footsteps, she had no way of knowing when it would happen again. She lay there for 40 minutes afterward, eyes wide open, clutching her blanket. She didn't sleep the rest of the night. That was the moment I realized this wasn't just about Uncle Ray's scheme. Janelle enjoyed it. Day 12. I visited on my regular Saturday. Acted normal, brought flowers. Hugged Janelle hello. Smiled through lunch. When I got a moment alone with Grandma, I held her hand and turned to face her so she could read my lips. I said very slowly, very clearly, I know. I see everything. You're going to be okay. She stared at me for a long time. Then she gripped my hand so tight her knuckles went white and a single tear rolled down her cheek. She nodded once, and I saw her jaw set in a way I recognized from when I was a kid, and she used to tell me that Castillo women don't break. They bend, and then they snap back. I mouthed, "I need you to hold on a little longer. Can you do that?" She picked up her notepad. Her hand was trembling, but her letters were steady. She wrote, "I've been holding on since she got here. Hurry." I drove home and called an elder abuse attorney named Dawn Kessler, who'd won 3 landmark cases in Hillsborough County. She answered on the second ring. By Monday morning, she'd reviewed every clip and said 5 words that made my blood pressure drop 20 points. "We have more than enough. Here's what we did." Dawn filed a formal complaint with the Florida Department of Children and Families, Adult Protective Services Division. We sent the evidence package simultaneously to the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office Elder Crimes Unit. We also contacted Grandma Gloria's primary care doctor, who, after reviewing the footage and examining Gloria, documented signs of malnutrition, sleep deprivation, and emotional distress consistent with prolonged abuse. But the part that required the most precision was Uncle Ray. Because of the recorded phone call proving conspiracy, we couldn't tip him off before law enforcement was ready. Dawn coordinated with the detective assigned to the case, a woman named Sergeant Rojas, who told me she'd spent 15 years in elder crimes, and this was one of the most meticulously documented cases she'd ever seen. Her words. She said most families come to her with suspicions. I came with a prosecution. D-Day was a Thursday. I'll never forget it. November 9th. I drove to Grandma Gloria's house at 8 in the morning. Janelle opened the door, surprised to see me on a weekday. I told her I took the day off. She smiled that sweet fake smile and said, "Oh, your grandma will be so happy." I walked past her into the living room where Grandma Gloria sat in her recliner. She was wearing clean clothes for once because Janelle always made sure things looked decent when I was expected. But I wasn't expected today, and the house told the truth. Dishes in the sink, trash overflowing. That damn thermostat at 62. I sat next to Grandma and held her hand. A few minutes later, there was a knock at the door. Janelle answered it. Sergeant Rojas stood on the porch with 2 deputies. I watched from the hallway as the color drained from Janelle's face in real time. Like someone pulled a plug. "Ma'am, we have a warrant for your arrest." "For what?" Janelle's voice cracked. "Elder abuse. Neglect. Conspiracy to commit financial exploitation. You can't. This is a mistake. I take care of her. I feed her. I bathe her. Ask the family. Ask her son." Sergeant Rojas didn't flinch. "Her son is being arrested right now at his office in Clearwater." I watched them cuff Janelle in my grandmother's living room. She looked at me as they walked her to the car. I expected rage. I expected threats. Instead, she looked at me with this flat, empty expression and said, "She can't even hear." "How did you know?" I didn't answer her. I walked back to Grandma Gloria, knelt beside her recliner, and faced her directly so she could read my lips. I said, "They're gone, both of them. It's over." She stared at me. Then she did something she hadn't done in weeks. She smiled. Not a polite smile. Not a tired smile. A real one. The kind that reaches the eyes and doesn't let go. And then she wrote on her notepad, in big shaky letters, "I knew you'd come." The case moved faster than anyone expected. The footage was devastating. And there was so much of it. 12 days of documented abuse. The phone call between Janelle and Uncle Ray was the centerpiece. Ray's attorney tried to argue the recording was inadmissible, that I'd captured a private conversation without consent. But Florida is a 2-party consent state for phone calls, not for surveillance in a home where the camera owner has permission. And since Grandma Gloria owned the house and I had her written consent to install the cameras, the judge allowed every single clip. Ray tried to play the loving son card. He showed up to court in a blazer, eyes red, voice trembling. He told the judge he'd hired Janelle in good faith, that he had no idea about the abuse, that the phone call was taken out of context, that when he said keep it that way, he meant keep her comfortable. The prosecutor played the full recording. All 9 minutes of it, including the part where Ray said, "And I documented this word for word. Once she's in a home, the house is mine and nobody's going to fight me on it. Old people die in those places all the time." And the part where he laughed. Uncle Ray stopped talking after that. The jury deliberated for 3 hours. Janelle was convicted of aggravated elder abuse, neglect of a vulnerable adult, and conspiracy. Ray was convicted of conspiracy to exploit a vulnerable adult, financial exploitation, and aiding and abetting abuse. Janelle got 4 years. Ray got 5 and was ordered to pay full restitution of every dollar he'd taken from Grandma Gloria's accounts, which turned out to be $47,000 over 18 months. Money that was supposed to pay Janelle. Money that was supposed to cover Grandma's prescriptions. Money that simply disappeared into his mortgage payments and car note and weekend trips to the Keys. $47,000 stolen from a 74-year-old deaf woman by her own son. The judge's words stayed with me. She called it a betrayal of the most fundamental human bond. She said Gloria Castillo deserved the protection of her family, and instead she received their predation. The sentencing was on a Tuesday. I sat in the front row with Grandma Gloria beside me. She couldn't hear the proceedings, so I wrote everything down in real time on a legal pad. When I wrote guilty on all counts, she read it 3 times. Then she took the pen from my hand and wrote underneath, "His father would have been ashamed." I nodded. She put the pen down and sat up a little straighter. That afternoon, we drove home together. I moved into Grandma Gloria's house the next day. Not because she needed a caregiver. She needed family. Real family. The kind that shows up without being paid. My boyfriend Marcus helped me move boxes. He fixed the leaky faucet in the bathroom that Ray had been too important to deal with. He repotted a new African violet and put it right back on the windowsill where it belonged. Grandma Gloria watered it the next morning at 7 a.m. sharp. First time in months she'd had a routine that was hers. I set the thermostat to 74. Her favorite number. She told me once it was because that's how old Grandpa was when he taught her to dance in the kitchen. I don't know if that's true or if she just likes being warm, but it doesn't matter. The house is warm now. The community response surprised me. After the local news ran the story, I got emails. Dozens of them. Then hundreds. People telling me about their own parents, their own grandparents. Neighbors who noticed something wrong but didn't speak up. Daughters who suspected but couldn't prove it. Sons who trusted the wrong sibling. One woman wrote me a 4-page letter about her mother in a facility in Ocala. She complained about a caretaker for 2 years and no one listened. She installed a camera after seeing our story. Found almost the same thing. That woman's mother is safe now too. I didn't set out to start anything. But when people started reaching out, I realized the biggest problem wasn't the abuse itself. It was the silence around it. People don't want to believe family could do this. They don't want to make accusations. They don't want to install cameras because it feels like a violation of trust. But here's what I learned. Trust without verification isn't loyalty. It's negligence. And the people who suffer most from that negligence are the ones who can't speak up for themselves. Grandma Gloria can't hear my voice. She'll probably never hear it again. But she sees my face every morning when I bring her coffee. She reads my lips when I tell her about my day. She writes me notes that make me laugh so hard, I snort. Last week she wrote, "That new mailman is handsome. Tell him I'm single." She's 74 and still has more game than I do. She's not fragile. She never was. She was silenced. There's a difference. Fragile means you break. Silenced means someone took your voice and you're just waiting for someone brave enough to hand it back. I volunteer now with the Hillsborough County Elder Justice Coalition. We train families on how to spot the signs. Not just bruises. The subtle things. Weight loss, withdrawal, a dead plant on a windowsill, a thermostat set too low, a caregiver who's a little too charming on the phone. We teach people that the ones who can't scream the loudest are the ones who need you to listen the hardest. Janelle is 18 months into her sentence. She hasn't appealed. Uncle Ray did. He lost. His lawyer tried to argue emotional duress, that the pressure of caring for an aging parent pushed him to desperate measures. The appeals court was unmoved. The judge wrote in the denial that desperation does not sanctify exploitation. And Grandma Gloria? She's gained 11 pounds. She sleeps through the night. She waters her plant every morning. She reads mystery novels in the afternoon. She beats me at Scrabble every single Sunday, and she's not gracious about it. She has this habit of tapping the board twice when she puts down a big word, like a little victory drum roll. Last Sunday, she put down quixotic on a triple word score and tapped so hard the tiles jumped. She can't hear the sound it makes, but she feels it. And I think that's enough. Because sometimes protection doesn't roar. Sometimes it watches silently from a basket on the top shelf, recording everything the world refuses to see. And sometimes the smallest camera catches the biggest truth, that love isn't loud. Love is showing up on a Sunday when nobody expects you. Love is reading your grandmother's lips and believing what she's trying to tell you even when she can't make a sound. And now she doesn't have to. Because I hear her. I always will.